Good day, MET330 students. This video is going to talk about the basics of GitHub and Git as a version control method for your coding assignments this semester. And what's so important about this is modern computing uses a lot of Git and GitHub commands in order to maintain packages. So for example, the MET330 package, I do a lot with Git to be able to contribute to that package. So we're going to learn just the basics here and use them in this course. Know that there's a lot more you can do and a lot deeper you can get if you really get into some of this coding stuff and want to contribute back to community developed programs. And so we're going to do a combination of using the PowerPoint and then doing some command line work. So let's go ahead and begin. So GitHub, why GitHub? Well, it is a version control system. There are other version control systems out there, but this one has a nice web interface and some really large scale adoption by many different programs. And so you might be asking yourself, well, why version control? Well, this allows for a fail-safe backup of all of your work when you go ahead and save it both in terms of a version on the local machine, but then especially when you push it up to the web, because then the web GitHub is always backed up and you will never lose it up there unless GitHub for some reason goes away. But it has some pretty strong backing at this point, so I don't expect that anytime in the near future. All right, so what are some of the common commands? These are going to be the kind of 4 common commands you're going to utilize this semester. There are a lot more Git commands. And you can actually see all of them at the quick reference guide here and go and visit that site. I will put that link up on Blackboard for you as well, so you can click through as opposed to having to type it out. But here are the main ones, and they're kind of in the order that you're going to be doing them in, although you may not be doing them all sequentially right in a row. And so the first thing is that you're going to have to clone something. You're going to have to clone a repository to start something. We'll see what that looks like in just a second. Then when you've made some changes, you're going to need to add your file or files that you're wishing to commit to this version control system. And so basically this git add is staging any sort of changes. The git commit is when you're actually committing these changes to the version control. You've now officially versioned your files. And then, so this is all basically what's happening locally. And this last one, this git push, is going to be something where then we take what we've saved and versioned locally and push it up to the GitHub website so that you can see it on the web. Okay? And so this is the overall thing. It is always good to version control your stuff so then you don't have files that have then underscore, year, month, day, v1, and then v2, and then v final, and then v final. We do version controlling in our own way, sometimes with some of our even Word document files, but this is much more robust and much more sustainable than doing that. All right, so the first thing we're going to have to do is you're first going to need to accept an assignment to create a repo. You could also do this via some other GitHub repository that's out there, but we'll go ahead and do it in the context of this course. So I'm going to go ahead and bring up my web browser, which has me on our class page here. And this coding assignment, by the time you watch this video, should be available to you. And the main thing here is you're going to need to click on this first fork the repository for the assignment. And so if you click on that, it's going to take you to this page. It's going to say, do you want to accept this assignment? And let you know what it's going to look like. And we will say, accept this assignment. And so then it's going to clone the beginning work that I have in there for you, which is largely just a README file. And great, once it's ready to go, then it gives you important information here where it says, here, this is the repository that you've created, and this is the one we're going to want to clone. So if I go ahead and click on this, now I'm brought to kind of my space where this website is. We've got a classroom set up that you'll be in terms of a GitHub Classroom. and then you'll all have your own problem set directories that are private, so nobody else can see it, but you will be able to commit to. And so it's this web address that we're really going to need. So we're going to go ahead and copy this. So I'm using my key commands to copy things. And then we'll go ahead and use this within our system. All right, and so you see that this git clone here, I don't have exactly the right name here because it says pset1, and we saw that it was a different name, but it's this git clone command that we need. So git clone, and then I'm going to paste the results of what that web address is, because this is what we are trying to clone. And so it's cloning from this web directory to your local one. And the one thing I'm going to add here to just ease up this process is adding in my username here. This is going to allow for a little more ease of use. If you don't, it's just going to ask you for your username, so you'll put it in one way or another. But again, this step you're only going to do once every time we do these problem sets. So it's cloning. Now it's going to ask you for your GitHub password. So just make sure you do that. Seems that I can't remember my exact password here. So I'll try one more time. Well, that's interesting. I don't know why it won't clone for me. So we're going to go ahead and pause this video so I can figure this out, and we'll get started again in just a second. All right, we're going to try a different web address and way of going about getting this. So coming back here to Safari, under code here, I'm going to use SSH for myself, so I'm going to go ahead and copy this web address here. And then I'm going to go ahead and come back to I need to go all the way through now. There we go. All right, so git clone, and then go ahead and print that out there. Cloning. So I have my password saved via SSH, and so that's allowed me to get it cloned. And so now if I list the contents of my directory, I see I have that new problem set -1. If I go ahead and list in time reverse order, we'll see it near the bottom. So we got that there, and so now we want to go ahead and change directories into problem set 1. So if we have list the contents there, now we see we have a README file and the PDF associated with our assignment, a more readable form that you can print out if you want. But let's go ahead and then run through this process of what GitHub would look like. And so what we want to do is we want to create a new file, so VI, and then temp_conversion.4 is going to be the name of one of the files that you need to create. So we're going to go ahead and VI that here. Hit enter. We're now in our new file. I'm going to get in insert mode by typing I. And then I'm going to go out to column 7, put in my program statement, temp_conversion, and then put in a couple spaces, add my end statement because I know I'm going to need these two things. And that's all I'm going to do for right now. Just doing a couple of things I know I need to do, and then I'm going to go ahead and write that. So hit escape, get into command mode, :W, we'll write it, :WQ, we'll write and quit, get back to our terminal window. And if we list our contents, we see we have our new file, temp_conversion.4. So we've created our new file. And now we can check the status actually. So another command that you might want to know is git status. Git status will tell us about untracked or uncommitted files. And so it says, oh, hey, I see this new file in there. Do you want to track it? If you want to track it, then you add it. So git add, and then the name using tab completion here, temp_conversion.4, we'll add it. And so then if we look at git status, we see now we have this new file, changes ready to be committed. Basically, we're in a staging area now. And so it's ready to be committed to our repository. And now we want to do the actual committing. And so this is where we want git commit -m, And here we just want to put in with either single quote marks or double quote marks, whichever you do, just be consistent, some message, some readable message that you know that you can use to understand what you did in this commit. So we might just have something like initial program file commit. And so then we get our initial commit committed. And now if we had git status, we would see everything is clean, nothing to commit. So now this has all been saved locally, which is great, but we also want to utilize the fact that we can push it up to the web to github.com to save for other purposes. And so now we want to push to our remote repository. And so this is where we're going to want to git, push, and then the way that the branch we're currently working on, which we're not concerning ourselves too much with branches this semester, is this idea of origin master branch. So the origin is your repository and the branch is the master branch. So we're going to git push to origin, and the branch that we're committing is master. So if we do that, then it goes through the process. We'd see an error here if we had an error problem. And now if we go back and look at our web page here, and if we hit refresh, we now see we have temp_conversion.4 that is now up on the repository. It was opened or saved and committed a minute ago. And we could even see what we had committed there up on the web. Okay. And so that's it. It's pretty easy to upload to our origin points there for saving these things to GitHub. Again, the more that you do this, the more comfortable it will feel. But really the process is git clone first when you're starting your repository, git adding and git committing and git pushing as you work through any sort of problem set. You want to go ahead and commit often, because this is, again, a way for us to save and version control things. And so when you get something working, save it off so you know you have a point you can go back in time if something should get so badly out of whack that then you need to revert to an old form. That's it for this video. Thanks for watching.